All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about more drama in the band Heart as they make their comeback, or at least their live concert comeback, and doing it, of course, in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, before we talk about Heart, and I want to point a couple of things out that I think are a little bit hypocritical, contradictory. Um, I know people say I beat up on Ann Wilson, and I'm sorry, Ann. I'm sorry. You still have one of the greatest voices in music history. Female vocals, like in the top three or something. I don't know. It's way up there. But anyway, Mitch Malloy. If you haven't heard this album, it's in my top 20 for the year. This is the last song by Mitch Malloy. Contains a lot of great music that should have been on rock radio stations, but because we have no support system for guys like Mitch and pretty much everybody in my top 20, you don't get to hear this stuff, so you have to go look for it yourself. Or you can rely on me to keep bringing it to you in the new year, because I'm planning on continuing. I know people in chat rooms everywhere are mortified that I'm promoting melodic rock, but I will continue to do it, and I think I'm definitely helping. I'm not hurting, all right? Of course, some people don't like my politics, which I don't think people even know what my politics are anymore. So anyway, speaking of politics, this supposed feud between Ann and Nancy Wilson continues to pop up in articles. Nancy Wilson on fighting with Ann Wilson to satisfy the haters. Now, the article is originally about how the sisters were planning on staging like a fake fight on social media to satisfy the haters. Now, I'm not a hater. I love this band. I'm just kind of sad about what it's become. And there is a relationship problem here, and it's a business relationship problem. It's a music direction relationship problem. And there's a key paragraph here in this article that I think illustrates this. Now, for years, or at least a few years, Ann and Nancy Wilson have faced some problems. In an interview with a classic rock publication, Ann shared information about her relationship with her sister. She stated that despite what some may think, the two are not in a feud. No, they're not in a personal feud. They may have been back in 2017 after the Who Let the Dog Out incident, which I continue to reference and a lot of other articles reference. I don't think there was any resolution to that. But I think as time went on, probably Nancy said, I need Ann as a business partner, and I'm going to have to get along with her. She's my sister, and I'm just going to have to push forward, even though I don't think there was any real forgiveness offered in that situation. I mean, I may have to go back and read those articles, but it just seemed to be out there, and it didn't really change. In other words, nobody said anything to one another as a way to offer an olive branch in that situation. But this is what Ann Wilson said about how they're not in a feud. She says, "It's a myth. Nancy and I are okay with each other." Now, she uses the word okay. Is that a red flag? We're okay with each other. We're all right. We're okay. Now, depending on how you say it, I mean, it does sound a little bit lukewarm. I used that word to describe their concert appearance the other night. It's kind of lukewarm. Seems like they don't rehearse all that much anymore. I don't know. But here's what she says next, after she says that they're okay with each other. "We just have different ideas for what Heart should be, and we haven't figured out a compromise yet. 50 years on, I still want it," meaning Heart, "to break barriers and rules." All right, let's stop right there. So, other than boasting of being this female duo, initially now Heart was a band and had other members who weren't female, okay, who were great members of the original Heart, who, by the way, have been pretty much left out or shut out or forgotten about when it comes to, doing a full-blown Heart 50th anniversary, which I think would have been appropriate because she said she wants to do new things. She wants to break barriers and rules. And then this is what she says about her sister. She's more satisfied to ride the LA imaging thing and just do legacy stuff. Doesn't that sound kind of condescending? It does to me. I mean, Ann Wilson, I'm cutting edge. Nancy, she just wants to ride the wave. She wants to ride the LA imaging thing and just do legacy stuff. Okay, so legacy meaning your amazing catalog of music, which people still want to hear, hence they show up. And they're okay with Ann Wilson sitting on a stool. They're okay with a lot of the sour notes I heard. Some good notes, but some not so good notes. And we're getting to that stage. Ann Wilson in her 70s telling everybody that Nancy is complacent, that she just wants to ride the LA imaging thing. What is the LA imaging thing? What is that? Is that the music they did in the late 70s? Because that was some of their best music. So there's no new image that you should try to reinvent yourself with. I don't understand. Now, Ann has this love for Seattle music. The band is from Seattle, but they weren't making Seattle music, right? They were making just good rock music, and they happened to be from Seattle. But when this Seattle scene just burst, and by the way, it displaced Heart in the early 90s. That's when Heart couldn't get a concert. They just couldn't book a show. Maybe they still were, but certainly their albums, their last album that they put out, I think it was 92 or 93, completely bombed because nobody wanted to hear that stuff anymore because the industry did that. And they're the ones that set that up. That wasn't your fan base. Now, your fan base never left you, and the stuff they were listening to still were the songs you did in the 70s and 80s. And if you want to say they broke barriers and rules, what rules did they break? In the 70s, they sounded like a 70s rock band, a really good one. In the 80s, they adapted. They did the LA imaging thing, whatever that is. And they became a great 80s rock band. They got different producers. They got different hairstyles. They did music videos that were very popular, and they rode the wave. Now, there isn't much. That wave has crested like 30 years ago. So there is no wave to ride. The legacy is what you've done. And this is, I think, the focus of what you should continue to do. You have no support system if you're going to go out there and create new music. I don't know how many solo albums Ann has done recently. She's done a few of them. And other than 1 day or 2 days worth of headlines from classic rock stations that don't play her solo material, that would never add a new song by Ann Wilson, I'm not sure what the point is. If you're a band with the kind of catalog that Heart has, it's a stronger catalog in a lot of ways than bands like, I don't know, there are bands out there that just tour all the time. They have like 4 songs, like Night Ranger, for instance. They're still always out on the road. Heart has a catalog about 6 times as deep as Night Ranger. But yet Night Ranger is smart. They book gigs with other bands. Loverboy is another one of those bands that get to open up for these huge bands that, again, were their peers back in the day. And people love to see Loverboy opening up. With Heart, Loverboy should be opening up for Heart. Then you could maybe hear Almost Paradise. I mean, I don't know. It would be a good idea. But apparently Ann doesn't want to do that. And even though she says she's okay with her sister, why would you say this publicly? Why would you say, I still want to break barriers and rules, and she's more satisfied to ride the LA imaging thing and just do legacy stuff? the way she words that is very condescending. She's just happy with, the same old, same old. She's just looking to do old Heart music. And I want to break barriers. Does anyone want to go and see Heart breaking barriers right now? No. If you're in your 60s or 70s, for instance, because, again, the sisters are in their 60s and 70s, and you may have gotten into Heart when you were their age, when they started, or even younger. So you might be in your 50s or 60s, or maybe 40s, late 40s, depending on when you got into Heart. None of these fans are looking for Heart to reinvent the wheel. This is ridiculous, all right? And even though it's not a personal feud, allegedly it's not a personal feud between the two sisters, it's a creative feud. And the fact that she puts it right out there and says, hey, I'm wanting to push the boundaries, and my sister just wants to sit on her butt and just play Heart songs. Yeah, I think most people want you guys to sit on your butts, and was doing that the other night. She was sitting down and play Heart music. That's what you should be doing. And you should rehearse, and you should tune some of these songs down. You should grab some acoustic guitars, and you should really make sure that if you're going to go out there, that you're going to do justice to your legacy and not screw it up at the end. Now, if I'm being too serious about this, it's because I like this band a lot, and I think they've wasted a lot of time, and most of that is on Ann Wilson for doing this Seattle music thing, where she's going to pursue something that really her voice at this stage in her life isn't designed to do. All right? If she had picked up grunge when it started in 93, 94, and rode that wave during that time frame, and changed Heart into that kind of a band, then I could see her point. Hey, we could do the stuff we did back then, or at least, if you were going to do it, that was the time to do it, not now. And there's no other genre, unless Heart wants to do like a blues album, which I think would be amazing. There's nothing really new that works at this stage in their career. And based on what I saw the other night, you have to keep working at this to keep this going. You can't be complacent and think people are just going to show up. Now, they might show up because you guys together have been away for 4 years. So people are showing up because they're thinking, okay, I love this band. They're not going to be around for too much longer. The sisters don't agree on a musical direction. It's hard to get them to play legacy music. Now, they played 14 legacy songs, minus the cover versions. I don't get the Bowie Let's Dance, and I understand why they do Stairway to Heaven. But here's the deal for the sisters. You guys have material that the radio hasn't played in 30 years, okay? Stranded. When's the last time you heard Stranded on the radio by Heart? Imagine them playing that live. It would be awesome. Maybe they can't play it live. I don't know. But I'm saying they have this great catalog, and it's not being represented on the radio. You want to push the envelope? Play some deep cuts. Play some things that people haven't heard for a while, and rehearse and be ready for the concert stage. So again, those are a few of my thoughts on this feud that does exist. It just doesn't exist in the personal realm, supposedly. It's more in the creative realm. And quite honestly, that's the kind of feud that can break up a rock band. So in any event, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Here's Mitch Malloy and his album, The Last Song. This is a guy who could front any rock band. Not sure about Heart, but male band, he did the whole Great White thing. Great White with Jack Russell, that's kind of in turmoil. I'll have to talk about that at some point. Some of these bands really need to just stop. They just need to stop. It doesn't look good. Look, you all had a great ride. I'm not saying this about Heart. You all had a great ride, but when that ride gets a little bumpy, It's time to just pull that lever and just put it into stop. Put it into neutral or stop and just get off the train. And realize, hey, we did great, but people are still buying tickets. That's because a lot of us are at the age where we're still viable. We want to go see shows, but these bands are not that viable, but we'll go to see those shows, and we're not interested in the stuff that came before, or later, I should say, the stuff that came, 90s forward, because most of that music really sucks. And it's just, we're in a really weird spot because the industry left us before we were ready to leave the music. Hence, that is why Heart should be focusing on their legacy. All right, I think I made my points. Would I go see Heart? Yeah, I would probably go see Heart because I haven't seen Heart before. And, other than a few duff notes, it's still a great show. I think some people, though, who haven't seen them live in a while might be a little bit shaken by what they're going to go and listen to. Just food for thought.